Professor A.H. Raja Sahal, Vice Chancellor, Tumkur University.
To bring you from sky to the earth, because I am going to speak on inclusiveness. Maybe it is slightly different approach, but I will not take much time. Within 15 minutes I have to complete, so I may not be able to explain all the slides, but they are self-explanatory. Objectives of the presentation: to identify the root cause of exclusive politics, to reflect on how to bring quality and inclusiveness in education, and to find out solutions to the vexing problem of exclusive strategies by suggesting ways to achieve inclusiveness, social justice and quality education. I consider the educational system of India, the historical perspective, in 4 stages. Maybe about 100 years before, education was monopolized by a particular community. Their population was less than 1%. Others were not allowed to have traditional knowledge and traditional education system. Then, before independence, many of the mutts, especially the religious institutes, opened up colleges. When the mutts in different states and different places opened up the colleges, many people, especially the working Shudras, Shudras means the working class, they got access for education. Then after independence, last 60 years, because of our reservation policy and the contribution of Ambedkar and others, most of the communities in India, starting from SC, ST, minority and other backward classes, had an access for education. But still now, we have to move on to the 4th stage. The 4th stage is to implement the inclusion politics and inclusiveness of education system, especially for the other backward classes, minorities and the tribes. Majority of the tribal people have no access for education even now, including Muslims. That is the present challenge. If you does not bring these people, OBCs, minorities, SC, STs and the scheduled tribes and tribal people who make the majority of the Indian population, you cannot imagine development of India in the true perspective. This is my argument throughout my presentation. Next one. Sorry, I have to help myself. The root cause of the problem is, earlier there was social formation and there was hierarchy and then the division of labor, and knowledge system was dominated by the upper communities, and there was a myth. There is myth even now. If you bring majority of the people into the ambit of educational system, there may be a downfall in the quality, which is not correct. And marginalized, because of that myth, the SC, ST, OBC and minorities were marginalized from the education system. Our constitution provided the empower of the marginalized communities. When our constitution has provided enough opportunity for the other unprivileged communities for the access of education, now the private universities are coming up, deemed universities are coming up. So when more number of private universities, deemed universities, directed universities, foreign universities come up, again we go to the square, back to the square one, where majority of the people will not have access for education. So in order to defeat the constitutional privilege for these marginalized people, in my view, this change in the educational system is occurring, because including myself, Professor Rangappa is here, we know how the private universities or deemed universities work. They do not follow rather the complete spirit of reservation. They go by only merit. But under Indian socio-economic situation, that leads to problem. If you does not follow the inclusion philosophy in true spirit, you cannot imagine India developing. This is the census of 2001 and 2011, the educational scenario in different states of India. Literacy rate, Kerala, it is in the order of merit. Kerala, Goa, Maharashtra, Himachal Pradesh. And what has happened in between those 10 years? The difference in literacy rate. And then the minority population in India. Minorities include Muslims, Christians, Sikhs and Buddhists, and also Zoroastrians, Parsis. Parsis population as per 2001 census is less than 70,000 in the whole country. And their population is rather dwindling. Amongst the minorities, 72% comprises of the Muslims, followed by 13% of Christians, then about 10% Sikhs, 4% Buddhists and 0.04% Parsis. Then when you compare the educational scenario between the communities, average, this is again I think the data based on 2001 census, average Indian literacy rate is 64.8%. When compared to the India's average, the majority Hindus 65%, Muslims 59%, Christians 80%, Sikhs 69%, Buddhists 72%, and others 47%, SC 54 or 55, and scheduled tribe 47. But here one interesting thing is the literacy rate of Muslims 59% from 2001 to 2011 has come down. Literacy rate of Muslims was better earlier. Now as the years have passed, the SC/ST literacy rate has increased and Muslim literacy rate has decreased. It is not reflected in the table here, but that is the fact. Then with regard to the dropouts, especially at primary level education, highest dropout are from the Muslim community, about 7.67%, followed by SC and ST. So this dropout is estimated to be about 8.1 million children. They are discontinued from the school because of various reasons. That age group is between 16 to 13 years in India. 4.1 million are boys, 4.11 million are girls. If you split the Muslim population dropout, more number of dropout with regard to the Muslim girls rather than Muslim boys. That is also mind-boggling. Why it happens in that community is the question. Then always many people think that the majority of the children belonging to Muslim community go for madrasas, which is another myth. Total, as per the recent data, total Muslim population which goes to, students which go to madrasa for the studies are only 4%. This is 2011-12 census. Recognized madrasa 0.12, unrecognized madrasa 0.03, total is 0.15, that's all. At present, as per the 2014 data, only 4% of the Muslim children go to madrasas. Whereas the remaining children, especially at primary school level, they go to, government school 66% they go, private schools 30%, madrasas 4%. This is another myth. Generally people think that Muslim children, especially at the younger age, go to madrasa, which is wrong. in a majority way they go to government schools, not to private schools because of their economic status or social status. So we have to strengthen the government schools. In fact, all over the country, or at least over a state, Karnataka or Kerala, up to say 5th standard or up to 15 years of age, there should be only one category of schools, government schools. Government schools with the medium, all media, including English. As per their mother tongue, they should have, access for education to study in their mother tongue, whatever it may be. The private schools should not be there. When you encourage private school as well as the government school, you slowly the government schools get dwindled. One day they will vanish, and private schools will increase. Even in my own experience, in my own village where I studied in a government school, there were more than 400 students. Say about 50 years before, now there are only 30 students at present. 4 or 5 convent schools have opened up even in a small village. So, inclusive philosophy of education should compulsorily promote opening up or strengthening the government schools at all village levels, at least. Otherwise, it is only on paper. This is educational levels across socio-religious groups. The most backward, especially in higher education, the least access for education is with regard to Muslims, STs, SCs and other backward communities. If you does not bring them into the main stream, you cannot because take the example of Muslims. The population of Muslims in India varies from 16 to 20%. Even if you take it as 16%, ours is 120 crore population. 16% of 120 crore comes to about 18 to 20 crore. You cannot keep away these 20 crore people, the children belonging to them, away from the mainstream. That will be detrimental for the growth of our society. So, solution to the problem is we have to disseminate the myth. Myth means when the SC, ST, minorities, other backward classes are given free access for education, quality will come down is the one myth. That myth we have to negate. We have to dismantle that myth. Because more number of people coming, more intellectuals will come, more genetic diversity, cultural diversity, and you find intelligent people, people with highest IQ in all communities. In all communities, except irrespective of the caste or creed, you find brilliant people in all communities. So we have to give equal opportunity for all the communities. And education is the means of empowerment, and interest of the nation lies in the interest of not only minorities and also SC, ST, other backward classes. So all our policies should also include the tribal knowledge, tribal people. And within our reservation system, what we are seeing now is only the vertical growth. The fellow who takes the benefit of reservation will get more benefits, his children will get much more benefit, and it does not spread horizontally. So, horizontal reservation is more important to a country rather than vertical reservation. So, we have to break that system also. Then we can think of quality in our educational system. Social justice and inclusive development. These are the priorities which our Honorable Education Minister and central government has identified. In days to come, these are the areas where lot of education. I will take 2 minutes. Healthcare, energy, nanotechnology, advanced materials, electronic hardware, water resources, defense, affordable housing, sustainable urban design. These are the priority of areas of research in the coming decade. Then Swayam program is announced already by the central government, especially at the primary school level. Open online courses, many of you have talked about these things already. Free online classes, Wi-Fi in all colleges, universities, including schools, centralized syllabus and teaching facility. There should be a centralized syllabi with an opportunity to change it up to 10% or up to 20% depending on the local needs. But at least 80% of the syllabus should be on par with all other universities. And networking between the universities, at present we don't have any system of networking between the universities. Then this inter-university credit transfer in the country and across the globe is another thing which you have to think, because students in their span of 6 semesters, 2 semesters, he may go abroad and come back. Yes, interchangeable. I mean, that is very essential, and it has to be implemented in the remaining universities. Other one is provision to join discontinued course at any point of time. This applies to our Honorable Education Minister also. She was mentioning she had to leave her job, leave her studies in order to join the job. And once they join job, they cannot go back, because we have certain duration. One course has to be completed in 3 years or 5 years. And we have double the duration system. After they double the duration, they cannot come back. But it should be flexible. Provision to join the discontinued course at any point of time, and government should provide all assistance in granting leave for the discontinued regular service, all support for special education program, physically handicapped, mentally impaired and transgender community. They are not at present, they are all marginalized and lip service only. We have not implemented tenable programs for physically handicapped, mentally impaired and transgender community. And D.Ed also is coming to the ambit of universities. Earlier only up to B.Ed and above was there in the university system. Now in the new education policy, diploma in education, because the D.Ed, people who pass D.Ed, they get appointed in primary school education. So D.Ed is also coming to the ambit of the university system. And competent, skilled manpower has to be developed with strong. See, all of you, especially the IT/BT people, many industrialists who have come here, you always talk about skilled manpower and competent and skilled manpower. Please think about, in addition to competence, skilled manpower, they should have ethical and moral values. Otherwise, that education, it is just like a body without soul. Without morality and ethics, if you develop any system based on the principle of business or making money without social commitment, it is not going to stay for a long time. The last one is provision to study and obtain multiple degrees. I have kept it in writing because it is debatable. It is debate. Some people accept it, some people negate it. So it's a matter one can discuss at length. Thank you very much.